The fourth full version update to Loopmaster's Loopcloud sample browser application introduces a raft of new features, as well as a 3-tiered subscription model for power users on top of the existing free version. Before we dive into all that though, let's take a quick tour of Loopcloud's fundamental concept and functionality by way of introduction for those unfamiliar with the software. First and foremost, the Loopcloud application is a window onto the vast Loopcloud store, where you can search and buy from a catalogue of over 3.5 million samples by Loopmasters and other labels. And your Loopcloud account containing your bought samples for browsing, auditioning and downloading, and any locally stored samples that you've added to the database. The Loop Editor and its ingenious pattern system enable a surprisingly deep level of sample manipulation and playback control, making it supremely easy to slice and rearrange loops, audition one-shots as sequenced rhythms, and much more. And connecting Loopcloud directly to your VST or audio unit's compatible DAW, the Loopcloud plugin syncs the app to your DAW's project tempo and passes MIDI data to it for triggering of loops and one-shots. That's Loopcloud in a nutshell then, so now let's get into version 5's new features, some of which are only available in the subscription-only Artist, Studio and Professional versions. Apart from a full and visually enriching redesign of the GUI, perhaps the most immediately apparent change in Loopcloud 5 is the row of track tabs below the Loop Editor. Each of these is effectively a self-contained loop editor of its own, providing up to 8 tracks for multi-layered auditioning and export in the subscription versions, and 2 tracks in Loopcloud 5 Standard. Multi-track mode couldn't be easier to use. Load a sample and/or pattern into each track to have them all play back together, automatically synced to tempo. Build up complex drum and percussion grooves, or even composite complete track ideas, and edit each individual track using the full capabilities of the Loop Editor. Tracks can be soloed and muted. And samples can be exported individually, processed or unprocessed, or in any mute-governed combination as a processed mix. Joining the mute, scissors, reverse, slip and pointer tools in the Loop Editor palette, the new pencil and pitch tools bring instant rhythm creation and melodic transposition to all versions of Loopcloud 5. Clicking with the pencil tool adds the leftmost region of the currently selected sample to the timeline, snapped and sized to the grid. And dragging left or right extends its range, handy for quickly drawing in rhythmic lines. The pitch tool is considerably more game-changing, enabling transposition of individual regions by up to 2 octaves in either direction. Just drag the horizontal line in the middle of each region up or down to turn one-shot patterns into bass lines, melodies and pitched percussion parts, and re-pitch sliced loops. As well as being a standout feature in its own right, the pitch tool is also put to great use in a range of new preset melodic progressions in the pattern menu. Naturally, you can add your own pitched patterns to the menu too. Loopcloud 5's all-new FX rack introduces a small but well-formed suite of audio effects processors and the means by which to chain them together. Each track has its own FX rack, opened by clicking the FX Edit button, and clicking the plus button on the right reveals menus for inserting any of the 6 available modules: delay, filter, reverb, panner, vinyl stop and stop reverse, with or without preset automation, which we'll come back to in a moment. You can load as many of each module as you like and reorder them in the rack by dragging them left and right. The delay, filter and reverb modules are edited using the expected controls: delay style, time, feedback and filters, filter cutoff, resonance and drive, reverb size, tone and mix. The even more straightforward panner and vinyl stop have only panning and slowdown speed controls, and stop reverse has no adjustable parameters, simply slowing the region down for the first half of its length, then reversing it and speeding it back up for the second half. The effects can be brought to life using the aforementioned automation system, which is clearly in the early stages of development as it only accesses certain parameters, and adding breakpoints to the automation envelopes manually involves slicing the automation into regions and dragging their start and end points up and down to define a straight line ramp. The depth adjustable preset LFO style automation curves are a clever touch though, making it a cinch to apply rhythmic movement. And helpfully, both individual effect settings and complete chains can be saved complete with automation. Although their simplicity at this point is generally going to limit them to auditioning use primarily, Loopcloud 5's effects sound good and are perfectly serviceable for a bit of light processing prior to rendering and deployment via drag and drop. We're certainly looking forward to seeing and hearing how the FX rack develops in the future, although more than anything it makes us want third-party plugin support in Loopcloud, which is surely also somewhere on the horizon. As well as the main app and the Loopcloud plugin, subscribers to any of Loopcloud's 3 paid versions also get the rather impressive Loopcloud Drum and Play plugins. Drawing on curated libraries of one-shots and multi-samples, these VST and audio units romplers serve up all manner of percussive beatmaking tools and playable melodic instruments within 2 purpose-built interfaces. Drum is a virtual groove box with per-pad tuning, filtering and envelope controls, and a full-on mixer with built-in send and master effects. Its 16 pads can be triggered via MIDI or the onboard step sequencer, and cooking up beats with it is quick and fun. Play is a much simpler affair. Filter cutoff, resonance and overdrive controls are hardwired, but each preset also calls up 4 designer-specified parameter controls, effects, envelopes, time stretching, etc., and assigns a 5th to the mod wheel. Again, speedy workflow is a major selling point, but those editable parameters keep every preset genuinely relevant in terms of adaptability. Drum comes with 10 preset kits, while Play's 100-strong factory library takes in basses, pads, keys, leads and more, but both are, of course, expandable through the Loopcloud store. Clicking the Loopcloud button at the top of either plugin launches the Loopcloud app and takes you to the relevant section of the store, where you can browse the many available preset kits for that plugin. Hitting the Buy button on a kit adds it to your library in the plugin's preset menus, ready for immediate use. Loopmasters have done a truly stellar job in putting together the sound banks for both plugins, which include big name offerings from the likes of DJ Vadim, MJ Cole, Breakage, Marabou State, Carl Cox and Marshall Jefferson, and sound spectacular at every turn. While the free standard version of Loopcloud 5 does everything Loopcloud 4 could do with the addition of the new GUI, 2 track layers and the pitch and pencil tools, if you want to get your hands on the full stack of 8 tracks, the FX Rack and the Play and Drum plugins with their curated sample kits, you'll want to plump for the Artist, Studio or Professional version, priced £5.99, £9.99 and £17.99 a month respectively, or paid annually at 12 months for the price of £10 on all three. As well as the full range of Loopcloud features, the subscription versions also net you 100, 300 or 600 Loopcloud points every month, 10, 20 or 50 free sounds every day, and access to exclusive subscriber-only samples. Another benefit of taking up a subscription is that it secures you 5, 50 or 250 gigabytes of cloud storage for adding non-Loopmasters samples to your online Loopcloud library, which can be synced across up to 2 computers with the standard Artist and Studio versions, or 4 for the Professional version. You can elect to have samples uploaded upon initial import into Loopcloud, or add folders at any time via the right-click menu in the library. With its much more informative GUI, pitch tool, play and drum plugins, and multi-track layering, Loopcloud 5 marks another huge step forward for Loopmasters' increasingly versatile sample shopping, management and editing application. You can download the standard version for free or sign up for one of the 3 subscription tiers at loopcloud.com. Thanks for watching.